Hello and welcome to Creative Australia's new peer pool. It is a 3-year term beginning from January 2025 through to December 2027. My name is Wenona Byrne, Manager of Assessment. I'm joining you from the Creative Australia office on Gadigal country in Sydney. I acknowledge and thank Gadigal elders past and present. I also acknowledge the lands from which you are all joining us from today and all the storytellers, artists and custodians. This information session will be posted on the Creative Australia website as a resource for current and future peer assessors. The session runs for about 20 minutes and will include an introduction to assessment at Creative Australia and the team. You will meet Director, Writing Australia, Wenona Byrne, and hear more about the role of art form experts in the process. There will be information about what to expect at the assessment meeting, how we will communicate with you, what the workload is like, and where to find more resources and information about being a peer with Assessment Officer Katie Harford. We're excited to welcome you and look forward to talking with you about an assessment opportunity in the near future. We received many applications to be a peer, just over 1,200, and they were very competitive. To provide everyone with at least one opportunity to assess over this 3-year term, 653 peers were appointed to the pool. Our priority was to balance representation across the country to ensure each meeting for each art form has a good mix of knowledge, skills, and expertise, representative of diverse experience across states, territories, cities, and regions. Peer assessment and arm's length funding are guiding principles of Creative Australia. Peer assessment involves people from the arts and cultural sector, that's you, reviewing applications for funding against the published assessment criteria and identifying applications with the highest degree of merit. Our assessment officers are here to ensure you understand the process and will equip you with resources and instructions, encouraging you to ask questions and making it as clear and accessible as possible. Please let them know if there is anything that will make the process easier and more comfortable for you. I'll now introduce the assessment team. We have a team who deeply understand the sector and respect the knowledge and the skills you each bring to the table. The team includes Lucy Bishop, Katie Harford, Mel Hubyan, Stacey Sidley and Kathleen Lynn, and we will soon be welcoming 2 new assessment officers. This team take great care in ensuring the process is as easy as possible within the constraints of existing systems. You will have one assessment officer as your key contact on any assessment panel who can answer any of your questions or address concerns that you might have. In between assessments, the team is here to answer any questions from the start to the end of the process and for your term and beyond. I will now invite my wonderful colleagues, Director, Writing Australia, Wenona Byrne, and Assessment Officer, Katie Harford, to join me on the screen for a short Q&A. My first question is for Katie. When will a peer hear from us about sitting on an assessment panel?
A peer will hear from us through our regular email updates and when we invite you to take part in a panel. We start creating panels in February and August ahead of the March and September closing dates. So that's when you can expect to hear from us if you are on a list to be contacted in that round. And while we aim to ensure everyone gets an opportunity to assess over the 3-year term, it does depend on your availability and the final mix for the panel. If contacted to be on a panel, we do ask that you carefully consider your other life and work commitments during the preparation time for reading applications, which is usually 4 to 6 weeks before the assessment meeting date. And we ask you to factor in a good amount of time over this period to enjoy the process, especially if it is your first time with us. And you will hear from us through our email updates a few times a year to keep you up to date with the timing of assessments and invite you to let us know a good time for you to assess. We take future availability on board and try to prioritise this within the constraints of creating the diversity of skills, experience, and knowledge around the table. And when we say around the table, we are referring to the assessment meeting held remotely on Teams. We no longer have assessment meetings face to face.
Thank you, Katie. There are several Creative Australia staff involved in the assessment process, including our directors and heads of practice for each art form. As mentioned, Wenona Byrne has joined us. Wenona is Director of Writing Australia. Wenona, could you please describe your role in the lead up to the assessment meeting and in the assessment meeting itself?
Yeah, I work really closely with the peer assessment team to form the panels of peers. We look to ensure diversity of expertise and voices on the panels. Then I would attend a pre-meeting with peers to provide context for the meeting and also just to be available in the background if the peers have any questions at all while they're assessing. I also read over the applications and it really helps if I can see the scores coming in from the peers, will help me sort of see where the emphasis is lying for that particular round. I also attend the meetings and provide any sector context within the meeting or advice that the peers might need about a particular part of the sector.
Great. Thank you, Wenona. My next question is for Katie. What is the workload for a peer when they are assessing?
Sure. There are some induction resources that you'll need to get familiar with, and some of these are in your digital welcome pack. You will have an induction one-on-one with your assessment officer, which usually goes for about 30 minutes. And you will also have an opportunity to meet your fellow peers and have and ask further questions. And Wenona would be at one of these introduction meetings as well. And that usually runs for about 40 minutes or so. So all in all, getting familiar with the induction materials and getting ready to start your assessments would, I think, take about 2 hours. But the main commitment, of course, is doing your online assessments. And we indicate that it can take about 30 minutes to read through and assess each application. Some will be less, but that's a good indicator. And you may have between 30 to 100 applications. This will be indicated in any invitation to participate in a panel, so you'll have some idea of the overall workload before you commit. As I've said, you'll have from 4 to 6 weeks to complete your online assessments, and we do ask for your initial scores to be completed a week before the meeting date for administrative purposes. And of course, you must be available for the full day of the meeting to discuss with your fellow peers, and this is on Teams or Zoom.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Katie. And our final question for you both, and I'll go to you, Wenona, first to respond, please. What advice do you have for our incoming peer assessors?
Well, my advice is to start early, because that will really give you a feel for the amount of time it's going to take. And it will also present any questions. It will help surface any questions that you might have as you go along. And addressing those early will just make the process a lot more enjoyable for you. The other bit of advice I have is that no peer is expected to be an expert in everything. It's a collective brains trust situation. So when you come to the meeting, you can always ask your fellow peers for their advice about certain areas that you're not familiar with. So I would say don't put too much pressure on yourselves to be experts in every part of the sector.
Right. Thanks, Wenona. And Katie, what advice do you have for our incoming peer assessors?
Tell us how we can make the assessment process more accessible to you. We value having open communication and are happy to talk anytime.
Great. Thank you very much. I will now close the session with a few more points. Also for noting, we have interviewed a few of our peer alumni from the outgoing peer pool to give you some tips about what to expect and how to prepare. We have found these videos very effective in the past. Please have a look at the videos as part of your preparations. We have also included links to other resources important to the assessment process, including the protocols for using First Nations cultural and intellectual property, our animation resources for First Nations protocols and conflicts of interest, and our accessibility webinar. Many thanks to my Creative Australia colleagues who've made this webinar possible, including Wenona and Katie, who joined us today. Thank you. And to our interpreter, Jodie Rogers. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for joining us and for your interest in peer assessment. Please get in touch with us if you have any questions at all via assessment@creative.gov.au. We look very much forward to working with you soon.